the veins of her life here today. There's maybe two or three special people missing in this room, but I think overall we have everyone. We have the Du family here. We have the Chum family. We have the Sun family. The Own family. Ong, sorry, Ong, yes, Ong. And also the Own family are also here, Oni. Yeah, and yeah, the Own family, Oni ក៏នៅក្នុងដែរដូច្នេះthe site របស់គាត់នៅក្នុងនេះទាំងអស់អញ្ចឹងជាអាកាសល្អមួយ So I'm going to read this in English because I know a lot of the elders know
He said
about
all the family here,
the younger
so they know the last
people,
name.
The grandchildren may not know
Come together, like my mom is
ខ្ញុំនឹងអានហើយក៏សូមបង
close
លោក
to
អាចជួយពេលបងឡើងមកបងសង្ខេបពីភាសាខ្មែរដើម្បីឲ្យបងអ៊ំពូយើងឲ្យយល់តាមពិតខ្ញុំខ្លួនឯងក៏មិនទៅយល់អំពីជីវិតរបស់បំដើមពេលខ្ញុំប្រមូលព័ត៌មានប្រហែលថ្ងៃមុននេះដែរ Even myself, I've known down Sunnary for almost all my life since I was 6 years of age. I'll be 50 very soon. Even I myself have just begun to understand who she is and how she was this past week. So I'm hoping that this will be a continuation of her legacy of who she is. សង្ឃឹមថាមួយអស់គ្នានឹងបន្តមរតករបស់ដើម ông Sunnary ពួកខ្ញុំខ្លួនឯងក៏ទៅស្គាល់ច្បាស់លាស់ថាតើលោកស្រី Chum Sunnary នេះគឺជាអ្នកណាហើយហេតុអីបានគាត់រស់នៅជីវិតគាត់ដូចជាគាត់បានរស់នៅក្នុងខ្សែទៅឆ្នាំមុនដែលថាខ្ញុំទៅស្គាល់ថាគេបានស្គាល់គាត់អូខេតាខ្ញុំលុយណា Mrs. Sunnary Chum. Mrs. Sunnary Chum was born to Mr. Jong Chin and Mrs. Myth Do. Born at Prey Way on January 10, 1948, Mrs. Sunnary Chum, also known as Ong Tang, married Mr. Tung Yi in the early 1970s. But unlike what many of you might know of Cambodia, the Cambodia in the 1960s and 1970s was one with class, modernity, with rock and roll and Western and American influence all throughout Cambodia. Unlike the Cambodia that you and your grandparents may have showed you or taught you, the Cambodia in the early 1960s and 70s was a Cambodia of class, of educated people. In fact, Mrs. Sunnary married her husband at the Pagawang and Tukwang restaurants on the Tonlé side. Okay, so she was not married in the countryside. She was married in a pretty upscale restaurant in Phnom Penh, the Grand restaurant. Mrs. Sunnary was part of the affluent Khmer society because she had her brother, Mr. Chin Chuan, who was a government counsel in Phnom Penh. Mr. Chuan supported his niece with her education. Her brother, I'm sorry. So he supported her with her education, which landed her a profession at a printing company, at a printing press. Now, if you recall, Cambodia in the 1960s and 70s, to have a job, to have a profession as a printing press worker, that's very, that's very honorable, very respectful. In 1975, her good life, her bright future, and her happiness was taken from her. Her husband, Mr. Tung Yi, was taken and killed, and her big brother, who was also her pillar of life, was taken and killed. She later lost Chun Chun and Tun Chum, and 2 years ago, she lost Yi Tun, which many of us do not know her real name as Mrs. Tay Chum. Imagine a life where you had everything, a promised future, a family, and a bright career, only to lose everything in one day. You come to a new country called America, you don't speak the language, you can't read road signs, and you can't understand what others say to you. Around 1982, Mrs. Sunnary did find a new life. She found Mr. Jok Ching, a Kampuchea Crown man. She loved him. She was proud of him. her life was brought to the surface again. He was tall, light-skinned, and handsome. He was someone she could rebuild what was taken from her in Cambodia. She thought he could heal the wounds from her loss in Khmer Rouge. It was a love story that any young couple could only understand. Mr. Jail and Sunnary together had dreams. They had rental properties. They were successful. They were traveling throughout the U.S. They took road trips to Idaho and Indiana, and they explored America. Keep in mind that this is 1980s. For a couple, for a Cambodian couple to be traveling across the United States, that's awesome. That's honorable. That's respectful. That's something that most Cambodians don't have the opportunity until the late 1990s and early 2000s. And they party. Sunnary, Jail, they party. They have fun. Once again, she imagined a life of everything, a promising future, a family, and a bright family. But that dream also was taken from her when Mr. Jail revealed in his late 1980s that he had found his long-lost love from Vietnam. Mrs. Sunnary shared her pain with her closest friends, including my mom and some of her other friends in this room here. She bit her tongue and held tight to her sadness. She gracefully gave up love to have peace. And perhaps this is the story that was meant to be told about the life of Mrs. Sunnary Chum. Because those of us who were nearest to her know her well, she will give up everything, including what is best for her, for others. Sunnary is the fourth and the last of four siblings to pass, leaving behind 4 nephews and nieces in Cambodia. In Cambodia, we have 2 Sapir, also known as Ut. We have Suan Suti, Suan Nam, Suan Nate, Suan Supai. And in Minnesota, we have brother Sokanadi Sokanada that you have Bong, and Danny that you have Bong, and Jun Sina, and Sun Sutir. Brother Sina has 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren, is that right? And 1 coming soon. And together with Brother Stain and Brother Dong, she has 8 grandchildren total. Now I want to ask Brothers Dong to come up here to give us some details about Mrs. Sunnary between 1979 to the United States. Sunnary lived a long and trying life with a legacy of unconditional love. She never worked for Cambodian associations or communities. She never worked for any organizations in our community, but she loved the community as a whole. She loved widows and people who didn't have a family, people who were broken up, such as my family and my mom and myself and others in this room. And I mentioned that this is the veins of her life in this room. And her grandchildren that we see in this room, we have Tevin, Cedric, Leo, Andrew, especially because these are the grandchildren who were nearest to her, who were always there. We've seen her always trying to buy gifts at every Cup Foods, at Rainbow Foods, always thinking about these grandchildren. Since you guys were young, since you guys didn't even know who Sunnary was. Bong, Dong, can you come up here? Bong, can maybe try to share a little bit between what happened in Cambodia to here? I left out some parts. Maybe you can speak in Cambodian for our guests here in this room.
call a close relative.
So what?
They call a close relative.
That's why I'm getting ready to go back home and visit my relatives.
Where's your relative? Where?
Oh, Chicago,
Oh,
New Orleans, Mississippi.
that's not far.
New Orleans?
Good luck.
It's like 18 hours.
Really? New Orleans?
Driving.
Oh, driving.
Are you taking pictures still?
No, yeah.
Get off live.
No, I'm not lying. When you say about New Orleans, I'm thinking about that, what's that diarrhea thing?
Hello?
The movie, the series.
ជាបឋមជាខ្ញុំដើម្បីជាក្មួយរបស់មីងខ្ញុំបង្កើតឈ្មោះជុំ Sunnary ដែលគាត់បានចែកឋានក្នុងអាទិត្យនឹងឥឡូវនេះក្នុងអាទិត្យនេះជាគម្រប់7ថ្ងៃរបស់គាត់ដែលបានចែកឋានទៅហើយគាត់ទៅកាន់ភពថ្មីដែលមានសង្ឃឹមថាគាត់បានជួបជុំបងប្អូនដែល Peter my mom ជុំថេង ហើយទូនអីនឹងដែលគាត់បានចែកឋានទៅនឹងទាំងអស់សង្ឃឹមថាគាត់បានជួបជុំគ្នាសប្បាយចិត្តនៅភពថ្មីរបស់គាត់ផ្ទះថ្មីរបស់គាត់ហើយខ្ញុំសូមបងប្អូនខ្ញុំទាំង3ខ្ញុំនឹងបងប្អូននេះខ្ញុំអូនខ្ញុំនេះបងរមួយខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរអរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅថ្លៃថ្លាបំផុតដែលបងប្អូនអ៊ំភូមិដែលបានអញ្ជើញមកចូលរួមរំលែកទុក្ខសោករបស់មីងខ្ញុំថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំបាទឈ្មោះអង្គសខណ្ឌរាច្រើនគេហៅថាដូងអូនខ្ញុំចម្រើនគេហៅថាតែនស៊ីណានៅស៊ីណាដដែលមួយទាំង3ត្រូវជាក្មួយរបស់មីង Sunnary គាត់ត្រូវជាអូនបង្កើតរបស់ម្ដាយយើងសុំពេងគាត់បានចែកឋានទៅនៅថ្ងៃពុធខែ6ថ្ងៃទី21ឆ្នាំ2023គាត់មានប្រជជនអាយុ75ឆ្នាំក្រុមគ្រួសាររបស់យើងក្នុងឆ្នាំ1979ជាមិនសូវមានថវិកាគ្រប់គ្រាន់ក្រខ្សត់ដែរប៉ុន្តែនាពេលឆ្នាំ1979 after ទុកយួនចូលមកកាន់កាប់ស្រុកខ្មែរពួកយើងក៏បានចាក់ចែងពីស្រុកខ្មែរនៅពេលយប់តាមរថភ្លើង
Sad.
ចូលមកដល់ជំរំចាក់ចូលជំរំថ្មីរួចហើយធ្វើដំណើរតាមផ្លូវទាំងយប់ចូលជំរំខេដាប៉ុន្តែជាអក្សរ
Talking about
ថ្ងៃយ
how
ប់
they
នោះ
escaped from
បាន
camp.
ជួបក្រុមចៅថៃចេញពីក្នុងព្រៃបោកតាក់
I
ខ្វល់
should have sat next to you.
ទាំងយប់
That's
ហើយ
weird.
បានបែកគ្នាទៀត
Oh,
រហូតដល់ព្រឹករលំឡើងក៏បានជួបជុំគ្នាវិញជាសំណាងល្អដែរដែលបានជួបគ្នាបើមិនដូចនោះទេពួកយើងនឹងវេទនាឬមួយពិបាកជាយ៉ាងខ្លាំងដែរ
late night.
ដូច្នេះហើយតែខ្ញុំបានមកឈរនៅពេល speech ថ្ងៃនេះគឺជួយ
Go through.
Yeah,
អរបំផុតដែរដល់គាត់ដែលជាអ្នកមានគុណរបស់ខ្ញុំបាននាំពួកក្រុមគ្រួសារយើងចាក់ចែងពីស្រុកខ្មែរនៅឆ្នាំ1979រហូតមកដល់ពេលនេះគាត់បានលាចាកយើងទៅទៀតដូច្នេះហើយពួកយើងមានមីងម៉ែបងពូមីងដែលអាចហៅគ្រប់មាត់ដូចសពដងទេ គាត់បានមកដល់ស្រុកមីនីស្តាឆ្នាំ1981 1981 ខែ 9 ឆ្នាំ បានចូលធ្វើការរហូតដល់